Really? Is this really happening? Are we here at the Everything's Relative podcast? Is it about to launch into the first episode of season 4? We are. It is. Hello. I am Eve Sturgis. This is my podcast, Everything's Relative. I have a fun and fulfilling time making this podcast, and I hope that you enjoy listening to it. If you've been around for a while, welcome back. I am forever grateful to anyone and everyone who listens to my ramblings about life and helps me feel and stay connected to the larger MPE DNA discovery community. Here we are again. Was thinking today, remember how in season 1 I was pregnant and some listeners complained about my breathing? That baby was born and is now 2.5 years old. So that's how I'm keeping track of my time and how this podcast is going. How's my breathing now? If you're new here, welcome. There's a part of me that wonders if I am supposed to suggest to you to go back to season 1 and start from the beginning, but I am actually not sure if that's the right call. I feel better than ever about this season, and like I finally might be confident about what I'm doing. So to me, this is the best season. Don't go back. Or do, if you want to experience the progression. If all goes as planned, this podcast season 4 right now is launching in early spring 2022, which I like to call MPE season. Why might you ask? Because if you're new to our world, it could be very possibly because you were gifted a mail-in DNA kit for Christmas. For the big companies like Ancestry and 23andMe, the holiday season is a hot season for sales. And for those of us who've been around a while know it's a hot season for surprise DNA results. Someone just told me that in the donor-conceived community, February is considered new sibling season. So I know I'm not the only one who saw this pattern and wanted to laugh about it a little bit. If you're new to the podcast, but more importantly, if you are new to your discovery, welcome. Come on in. I imagine things are feeling a bit raw right now. For that, I am sorry, and I send you my deepest empathy. I hope you find here in this podcast a sense of companionship with all of us who have had the wild experience of discovering that one or both of our parents are not actually our parents. It could be your dad. It could be your mom and dad. It could be there was an affair, donor conception, adoption. There are so many ways this could have happened. We get it. I get it. When I started this podcast, I wanted it to be for people who are not in our position, honestly, because I wanted them to learn about what it's like to be us and navigate these strange waters. I hoped our stories would give people pause before making the kind of decisions that put us in this position. And I still hope for that. I really do. But I also have learned over the past 3 seasons that what fulfills me the most really is connecting with people who understand my experience like no one else on this planet can. There is a kindredship that I feel with MPEs that I haven't experienced anywhere else. So I have to keep making this podcast because it gives me life and keeps me going. So I hope you find some fulfillment and joy in it too, and some comfort knowing that you are not alone. Today, Day 1, Episode 1, Season 4. I'm going to play a talk that I had with these 4 women who call themselves the Fab Four. They are friends who have come together to be what we call search angels, people who love the data and finesse of genealogy and are willing to help people out using their own research skills. I thought it would be a really good way to start off the season in case you're someone who doesn't know about search angels and are struggling to understand your family tree or find one side of the family or other. And we just had a really fun time. So I thought it would be a great way to start off the season with a fun one. I don't want to scare off all the new listeners with the heavy stuff right away, because that's there too. But here we are, me and the Fab Four. Let's go. computer. And that way it's just recording and we don't have to worry about it. Otherwise I will forget, and
You don't want that.
that would be so super embarrassing when I finish an interview. And then I'm like, so I didn't get any of that. Let's start over. Great. This is so fun to have y'all here. I don't even know. I was about to say, I don't even know where to start, except I know that I sent you an email that was like, let's start with this and then we'll move on to this, but I don't remember what that was. But I'm sitting here now with 4 amazing search angels who work together. You guys can correct me, but work together as a group, work individually, help one another. And they call themselves the Fab Four. I've been telling everyone all week. I'm so excited to interview the Fab Four. So I have them on today. And so I have got Deb, Elizabeth, Larissa, and Valerie. Where are you guys located? Can you each say where you are?
I'm Larissa and I'm in Wisconsin.
I am Deb and I'm in Central Florida.
I'm Liz and I'm in Colorado.
I'm Valerie and I'm in New York.
Oh, and so have you ever all been in the same place at the same time?
Never.
Nope.
Have you ever met? Have you met in real life
Nope.
at all?
Just on Zoom.
No. Amazing. So tell me a little bit. We had talked about what I want to know is how you 4 got connected. And I also want to know what your sort of relationship to the like DNA world is. If you are an NPE or an adoptee or anything, or just a family tree aficionado, and then how you all met. So I don't know who wants to sort of lead or take over, but just tell me everything, you guys.
Who wants to start?
Well, I can start. I'm Larissa and I was kind of lurking in the background, if you will, at the DNA Detectives page and some other ones. Didn't quite know what it meant to be a search angel. And then Liz reached out to me and kind of took me under her wing and taught me what I know. And then we started doing some cases. And then Liz or Val, you want to chime in?
Yeah, so I was actually responding to a message that Larissa had posted. And she was saying something like, she was a really good researcher. And if anyone needed help, like researching certain things on their family tree, she would be happy to help. And sure enough, I needed some help researching something because my cousin is an NPE and she found us last year. And I was trying to help her figure out who her bio dad was. I shouldn't say she's an NPE, she was adopted. Mm-hmm. And so I was like, well, I just so happens I could use your help. So then I got connected with Larissa and Liz because of that. And then we met Deb. After that happened, she was the 4th person in all of this. So after we solidified my cousin's bio dad, me, Liz, and Larissa all just kind of like, we like working together. This has been kind of nice, like we're bouncing ideas off of each other and we just kind of clicked. And so then enter Deb, who is okay if I share some, Deb? Not too much, but.
And I don't mind. It's completely fine.
So Deb enlisted our help because she found out that the dad that raised her is not her biological dad. So we were trying to figure out who he was. And so after solving that, Deb kind of felt the same way. She's like, I really like working with you guys. And we're all like, yeah, we really like working with you too. So it just kind of naturally happened.
Yeah. Okay. And so to clarify, so Valerie, you sort of got like brought into this world because you had a cousin reach out that your family didn't know about.
Yeah. Well, it's funny that So my dad knew about her. So my cousin is my aunt's daughter that she had given for adoption back in the 60s. And my dad knew because he was 14 at the time. They're 7 years apart. And so when she contacted my dad on Ancestry, my dad was her top match. And he knew immediately who she was. And so he showed it to me and he's like, what should I do? And I was like, oh, I got this. I was so excited. I'm like, I got a new family. This is fantastic. So I sent her back like this huge long message. Welcome to the family. Let me give you some medical information. Sorry, you have terrible genes. Like you're going to get everything. And then
good news is we are your family.
Yeah,
bad news is everything hurts.
You're going to die from a stroke probably. So sorry about that. So, and then I told her a little bit about her mom, my aunt, who I absolutely adore. She's amazing, amazing person. And then I called my aunt and I was like, so this happened.
And wait, and I'm sorry to interrupt. You be like, how did you were already like interested in family tree stuff and ancestry and into all that? Like, how did so many people get contacted by cousins or, relatives and don't know that the nice thing to do is to send back an email with a nice message that says, here's your medical history. So you were already like in this world? Like
a little bit. My dad has really been into genealogy for at least the last 20 years. And so he had his DNA done probably like 4 years ago. And but he had a big family tree built up. And like, so he was really, really into it. And he was actually trying to get me more into it. But I have been interested, especially in like CC Moore and like the Golden State Killer, that whole thing. And that's when I got into it. I was like, oh, this is such a useful tool. Like it was kind of like getting the wheels turning in my head.
So you like the mystery and the puzzle pieces.
Oh, for sure. Like I love all of
so
that.
this cousin kind of just got lucky that you were her cousin.
I tell her that all
I'm on it. Okay.
Yes, you're so lucky. You got the best family. So I filled her in because I had actually belonged to some of those DNA detective groups, and they were talking about like reaching out to family members. So I already kind of had like an idea of like the appropriate response, and I was genuinely pumped to begin with. So my dad had responded to her, but his was very vague in like his response. And I was like, Dad, I got this. let me like welcome her to the family properly. And so I probably spent like an hour and a half typing out this long email, like detailing whatever I could think of as far as like medical and whatever, and giving her a blurb about my aunt. I didn't want to get too personal with that because I hadn't talked to her yet. So I just kind of gave her a rough preview. And then I was just, she probably emailed me back about 10 minutes later and she was like, can we be best friends?
Yeah. I mean, oh my God.
I was like, yes, brand new family, brand new best friend. This is great.
Yeah. You're like a dream experience, dream contact. Okay. And then you have continued to work on helping that cousin expand her family tree and figure out everything. Okay.
Yes.
And that's the work that brought you sort of like into this group.
Yes, exactly.
Okay.
Because as much as I adore my aunt, and my aunt has always been very truthful and like very upfront with stuff, but she's still in that generation where she'll tell you what you want to know, but you have to ask. And we're both kind of like, should we ask her? Like, you ask her. No, you ask her. Like, we were like, well, maybe we can just figure out who Biodad is on our own. Maybe we don't.
Yeah. If it's upsetting to her or uncomfortable. And
I mean, ideally you want them to be forthcoming, but at the same time, like eventually we did ask her, just to confirm everything. But, at first we were just like, I don't want to like overstep, and Lisa's like, well, I just met her. So I don't know. Like, I don't know. Like, I don't feel comfortable asking that yet. So that's kind of how I got into it. Yeah.
Okay. So you got into it. And now Deb, you are an NPE.
I am.
Right. And when did you discover that your father was not your father?
So back several years ago, I had two aunts that passed away from ovarian cancer, one on my paternal side, one on my maternal side. And I took a 23andMe test just simply because I wanted some medical information. Didn't care anything about the genealogy. I felt like I knew where I came from. And I didn't see a lot of value in it, but I wanted to know if I carried any of the genes that these aunts had. So took a test several years ago. Nothing came up. Completely forgot about it. Fast forward to January of this year, and I had a cousin reach out to me to tell me that he had taken a 23andMe test, and he was curious about some of the matches. He didn't grow
Cousins,
up
man. These cousins. Okay.
I know. He didn't grow up real close to that side of the family. He saw that we were a match, and he and I are relatively close. And he said, help me figure out who some of these people are. And I said, well, I'm not home right now. I said, but send me some screenshots. And when I get home, if I can remember my username and password, I'll log into that thing and see if I can help you out. Well, he sent me some screenshots, and I very quickly realized that my family had some secrets that didn't just involve me, but it involved some other people in my family. And I think I pretty much knew and solidified that night based on what I had seen from his matches, that my birth certificate father was not my father.
That's impressive to me that you could look at screenshots from somebody else and sort of immediately know what kind of.
And this is probably all for another episode, but I knew very, very quickly. I was able to identify 3 secrets.
Wow. Oh my gosh, we definitely need to make that an episode.
and when I tell you secrets, I mean big, big secrets. And the 3 of them will agree with me. It was some life-altering things that I realized. And,
and you were just like, send them over. I'll just get home and figure out my password.
Yeah. So I by the first week of February, I had reached out to Larissa off of a Facebook page. She encouraged me to take an ancestry DNA test, which I did. And in the meantime, obviously, I'm a teacher by, that's my profession. So I'm always wanting to learn and figure out things. So the entire time I was waiting on results, I was researching, how do you figure this out? What do these terms mean? What is an NPE? What is a BCF? What is a BF? Just trying to figure everything out. Got my results back, contacted Larissa, gave her access to my results, and I said, let's figure it out.
And you were specifically or like primarily looking for who your father was, or just like the whole, you just wanted the whole puzzle pieces put together?
I think primarily when I first reached out to her, it was just a matter of figuring out who my birth father was. Mm-hmm. I didn't feel comfortable at the time going to my mom. I knew what her personality was like. I knew what her reaction and response was going to be. So I wanted all the balls in my court. Mm-hmm. That was just kind of my way of wanting to process and deal with it. When I confronted her, I wanted it to be a matter of, I already know, so you might as well tell me the truth kind of thing. And they were able to, the 3 of them worked together, and they were able to figure it out. I think through them figuring out my case, we solved 3 others within my family that were surprises to everyone.
Wow.
Yeah. Like I said, that's for another episode, Eve. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Way to plant an Easter egg. Jeez.
Yeah.
Check in later for my episode with Deb, everybody.
It's a really good one, I will tell you. And I enjoyed as difficult as it was, because when I say difficult, I mean life-shattering. I found all of this out right before I turned 47 years old. And to have lived 46 years of your life thinking one thing, and out of the blue, while you're out having dinner with your husband one night, you find out that everything you thought to be true is not. it's tough. So, not only have these ladies, helped me solve some mysteries in my life, they have been wonderful support and encouragement, and they have loved me and encouraged me and helped me along the way. And I knew that this was something that I wanted to be a part of. I wanted to be a part of what these ladies were doing for people. I felt so passionate about it that I knew that I had to get on the train with them.
Cool. Yeah, I'm so glad you did too. Liz, talk to me about your interest. How did your entry? I want to know how you got in.
So a cousin, that's the entry. We have 1,000 of them. So, but I have a cousin who it's always known he was adopted. That's just, it's always been a thing. It's never been a secret. My family is pretty vanilla and pretty open about things, but he got to a point in his late 40s, he wanted to know, hey, where do I come from? And so I had already taken an ancestry DNA kit or test. And so this was about maybe 4 or 5 years ago-ish. And so he gets his matches back and he doesn't know what to do. And so that's when I started doing my research and started figuring things out and asking questions on the different pages. And I guess I was bit by the bug. I couldn't stop. And after solving his, I wanted more. I needed more, but I was terrified. I was very terrified because it's one thing with family. It's another when you're dealing with someone you completely don't know. So I made a post on one of the many, many pages that I follow. And I asked, hey, what are the credentials? How do I do this? And someone reached out and asked for help, and I declined. I told her, I said, I don't want to let you down. I don't feel I know what I'm doing. And so I really don't feel, that we should move forward. Well, then someone else reached out and said, hey, there's no credentials. Yes, there are places that offer certain things, but really there's no credentials. And here's what you're going to do. You're going to take this case. You're going to help her. And that person became my mentor. Amazing. It wasn't until later that we realized that that case was actually international.
Oh, wow.
So, but we did it. And it took us a couple of months. And that's where I learned. I still have my mentor I reach out to talk to her about all of my cases. She's completely amazing. And so we solved that case. The young lady I helped found her dad. And in turn, he found his dad because he didn't know he was adopted as well. And he never knew who his dad was. And at 50 years old, he found his dad, and his dad was still there and excited because we found grandpa, of course, before we found dad. So that's how we kind of located dad. He had a son he didn't know he had. So it was an incredible story. And I couldn't stop. I wanted more. And Larissa made a post kind of similar to mine. And I when I saw her post, I was like, this was me a few years ago. And I have some cases that I'm working on, and you can work on them and you get into a spot where you feel this has to be it, or this can't be it. And so it's great to have a second set of eyes on it. Someone to tell you you're wrong or you're right. And so Larissa kind of made that post about, how did everybody get into this? I want to do it. And I reached out to say, hey, I have some cases. I need a second set of eyes. And so she and I clicked, and she couldn't stop either. I was giving her direction. Hey, look at this, look for this. Here's this. And we kind of were working together. We just clicked. And then somewhere along the line, she made another post and says, hey, anybody need help? And then it was a swarm. And I couldn't say no. She was like, hey, I have this case, this case, this case, this case, this case, this case. And I was like, oh my gosh. And that's where Val and Deb kind of came in at that point. Because I was like, well, we can't tell nobody no. Like we don't know everything. You never know everything. You're going to continue to learn, but we know enough to give some direction. So
yeah, I mean, I see like four people from 4 different, especially because you're from 4 different, not just locations, but it seems like kind of 4 different walks of life. So what you're looking at, you can all look at the same data, but have different perspectives and different interpretations of what you're seeing.
Right. That is amazing.
Yeah, that seems like that would really be an asset in this. And Larissa, how did you get into this? What interested you? Do you have a DNA connection, or you just were interested in solving puzzles?
I just am interested in solving puzzles, and I always did DNA detective work, or not DNA detective work, detective work back when I was in high school due to just some other things I was trying to figure out along the way. And then I took an ancestry test for the fun of it 2-3 years ago for Christmas, built my tree, started seeing the DNA pages, was interested in what it meant to be a search angel. Liz reached out. I worked on her couple of cases with her. We got to a kind of a stall, and I put that message out, and then we looked over the cases together and kind of put them in order of what would be kind of an easier one to start with to build my confidence. And then it just kind of went uphill from there with Val and Deb. And here we are. We all kind of bring unique gifts to the table. So
yeah. Oh, that's so cool. It's like you guys are like I want to I mean, it's like sort of just a classic grouping, but like where each person is brings something else. Like each person has got skill to the fight, so to speak.
We all kind of complement each other.
Yeah, that's so cool.
Yeah.
I think it's hard lots of times, and I mean, I think all of us being women, I think we can all agree to this. Sometimes it can be difficult for a group of women, to be able to, work together so cohesively, but
Oh, we do.
We do it. And I think what helps is that we're all so passionate about what we're doing, and we get so involved with these families, emotionally, forget about the hours of time that we put into these cases. We get emotionally attached to these people. So we just all work great together. It's been a good blend and mix.
Very cool. How many cases do you have right now as a group?
We're waiting on a couple to come back for, to solidify that who we think is bio dad or, something along that lines. But right now we're just trying to tie up a really tough endogamy case that we've been working on for 7 or 8 months, and just kind of putting together some pieces and thinking about maybe looking for some different cases.
Wow. Okay. Is this a good time to talk about how someone would contact you if they wanted your help?
Sure. Anyone that would be interested in getting help from us or asking questions or anything like that, we have a Facebook group that we just started. They can find us on Facebook at Genetic Truths. We're just going to kind of see where that takes us.
Genetic truths.
Yeah, genetic truths.
The opposite of a lie. Okay.
Yeah,
I heard truce at first.
Oh, and I was like, I'm sorry. That's
no. It's okay. I just was trying to sort of be like, okay, so what's the story about a truce? What's a truce? Okay.
That's that Florida Southern accent coming out.
Yeah. Okay. Genetic. Oh, I see. I even wrote genetic truce down.
Yeah,
genetic truce.
They can find us on Facebook. It is a new page. But we just decided, that would be something that would be helpful for us in helping others with, kind of funneling things through one way and being able to answer questions. And everything we do pretty much is as a group. We do all of our cases together. It's very rare that any of us would pull off and do anything on our own. So it just kind of is going to make it nice for us having a central location for people to contact us and get information and help.
Cool. Yeah. And I'll make sure that I put all this information up on social media and the website, all the places so that listeners can, of course, go back and find it in other ways if you didn't catch it just now during the conversation. And I actually have a resources for DNA discoveries link on my website. And I'll put you in there on the spreadsheet and make sure that people can get a hold of you. And if all of that sounds too hard to any listeners, you can also reach out to me and I will direct you in the right place. So tell me about some cases then. Now I know you emailed me about one that was extremely exciting recently. So tell me about that, and or anything else that's that just comes to mind as a great sort of example of what you do and how you work together and how someone could benefit from a search angel.
Well, I was just going to say, can we talk about the one that we recently solved with JJ and CC? That's
Absolutely. Absolutely.
That's
I think
a
that's
great
a great
one. That's exciting.
So we'll call her JJ. She had posted a post on DNA Detectives or somehow connected with me, and is 81 years old, was abandoned
It's like
at
2 years.
roughly 3 days old on a doorstep in, she didn't know who her biological parents were, where she came from. So she reached out. I consulted with Liz, and Liz, you go ahead and share your insight as to what you.
I think we were on the phone. Deb and Larissa had just recently, they were just wanting to make sure their, I guess, ducks were in a row with the case that they had recently solved. So I was kind of looking over it, which they did great. They solved that one. And so then Larissa said, hey, you know, I have this case. It's 81 years. You know, here's the news article. It would be a maternal and paternal case. And I was like, yeah, you know what, why not? And so we all kind of agreed at that point, let's do this. But let's set expectations. You know, we always have to set expectations to those we're searching for about things like, you know, we may not have that welcome opening, you know, kind of set their expectations. So Larissa is our people person. That's her superpower. She can talk to anyone. No one is a stranger. She cold calls and does amazing at just talking to people and getting information. And so we kind of worked on it together. JJ, she had already taken a test. So we had some top matches. And we kind of just worked through the DNA, you know, how many centimorgans, where does this person go? Where does that person go? And, oh, this is, you know, a good thing is she had taken a 23andMe. So 23andMe kind of tells you what's maternal. So that was a great help. And there was a gentleman we connected with who was a top match. And he kind of was a search angel in his own way, helping us through it. We all, you know, spoke with him, and we narrowed down who mom was.
Wow.
We weren't quite certain who dad was at the moment, just simply because this was all a lot of foreign names. But Larissa had pointed out, hey, I think that mom and dad were married. I'm pretty sure. Look at this. And so Larissa actually reached out to who we knew was at least a half sibling. Does anybody else want to give the punchline here? Because I don't want to take.
Sure. We Larissa reached out. We'll call her Cece.
Mm-hmm.
Reached out to Cece and told her that we thought that we had found someone that might be a relative of hers. And Larissa just asked her if she would be willing to take a DNA test for us to help this 81-year-old woman who never knew who her family was. The police, you know, back then there was no DNA, there was nothing to help this woman. So she had lived 81 years of her life not knowing anyone. So the woman agreed. And we mailed her a test, and the waiting started. And I think that was really hard for us because we really wanted to know the answers to this case. We were really hoping. We were pretty sure she was a half sister. We just, you know, we wanted that confirmation. We never share anything with families ahead of time on, you know, really exactly what our assumptions are, you know, because we don't want to get anyone's hopes up. I'll never forget, I was sitting at work one afternoon and my phone started blowing up. I mean, Facebook Messenger, text messages, the phone was ringing. OMG texts, we got the results back and we found out that not only were JJ and Cece sisters, they were full sisters. They had the same mother and father. So we were able to.
Whoa.
Yeah, whoa, I've got goosebumps telling
Yeah,
you.
I just did too. Hold down my legs.
We were able to find out that, they weren't just half sisters, they were full sisters. And we've been able to connect them. I think it's a little slow. Cece, the sister that did not know anything, had a little bit of a harder time dealing with it, because she had lived her whole life being raised by her parents. They also had a brother, never knowing that her parents had, had another child, let alone abandoned another child. So they're
what's the age? What's the age difference between JJ and Cece?
What's the age difference, Larissa? Do you remember?
Cece is 77 and JJ is 81.
Oh, not as large of I was expecting a larger spread.
So, Cece had a little bit of a harder time with it just, because she knew her parents and she couldn't imagine that her parents would have done something like that. So we've connected them and they've spoken on the phone and those type things. So we have hopes that, even this late in life, they'll be able to develop some type of a relationship with one another.
Mm-hmm. Wow. And how many, woman hours would you say went into that project? Everybody's face just
Liz,
now.
I think I'm going to let Liz maybe answer that one. She's our one that Liz does a great job of kind of recording and logging hours just to kind of have a guesstimate where me, I think Larissa and I, and even Val, we get so much into what we're doing, we lose track of the time. Where Liz is a little more on top of that. So how many would you say, Liz? What do you think the hours were we put into that one?
I would say we were well over 300 hours. That's just a guess. I do have a timesheet. I have not figured it all up at the moment.
300 hours?
It's well over because how many months did we spend on that?
We solved that in like 8 weeks.
Yes. So, and it was between all of us. We sat there and we were bouncing ideas off each other because the paternal side is we only had one paternal line there. That's all. We had all 4 maternal lines and we had one paternal line to go off of. And everyone is from Poland. So we sat there bouncing off theories, making it make sense on the phone late at night, through Facebook Messenger, through group texting, just kind of bouncing, theories and ideas. And maybe his name changed when he came over. And, so there was probably, I would say, and that's just a guesstimate. We put a lot of time into just sitting there and, notes and.
Right. And how do you all, when you're all working together, do you turn on like a Zoom call and you're all looking at the computer sort of together and chatting, or?
We do that sometimes. Lots of times we use Facebook Messenger. We'll just message back and forth. Sometimes it can be a challenge because with the exception of Val and I, we're all in different time zones. I mean,
I was just thinking that.
We're different states, different time zones. 2 of us work full time. So sometimes that can be a challenge. We do a lot of texting, a lot of Facebook Messenger. And then when we get to points that we feel like we're really getting close and we really need to spend some time together, we will Zoom together.
You'll all get on, right?
Yeah.
Otherwise,
and sometimes we just like to see each other,
Sure.
Just like to be together.
Okay. So you brought up that 2 of you have full-time jobs. So you're a teacher.
Yep. I'm a teacher.
Deb, and then what else is everybody doing with their days? Liz?
Yes, I'm in human resources. So that's what I do.
Human resources. Yeah. And then Valerie and Larissa, do you have other focuses, whether it's full-time job or not?
I'm a stay-at-home mom and I sub at the public school system once in a great while.
That's a full-time job. Both of those.
Yeah, definitely it is.
Yeah, I'm a full-time mom also, and I help take care of my parents. My dad's a paraplegic, so I'm constantly over there helping out wherever I can too. So very full day.
Okay. You guys have very full days. So you're all fully occupied as already.
Mhm.
And then you on your own dive into these mazes kind of, or labyrinths that you're all working together to get through. And correct me if I'm wrong. And I just want to clarify, Search Angels, you do not charge a fee. This is all stuff you just are doing for fun as volunteers from your heart.
Mhm.
Correct.
You just love to do it.
Yep.
That's amazing. That's really amazing. And I've known that, and I've talked with other Search Angels, but every time it's just it really amazes me. And I can't I kind of can't fathom not get, like, I just imagine that you're not sleeping very much, and I just can't put myself in your shoes.
Can't sleep when you have a case,
Yeah.
and it's like just running through your head. Val just had one, which we were all assisting. Val took the lead on this one, the endogamy case. Oh my God. You can't sleep when sometimes you're laying in bed and you're like, I can't sleep anyways. So
Might as well.
yeah, the case that
Get on the computer.
Yeah, I want to hear about that case, but I want to hear about the case that Valerie had. But occurred to me, part of the brainstorming about the hows and the who's of everybody has got to also be, it's got to demand a lot of like cultural education too.
It does.
Right? Like you've got to know, like when you talked about the Polish family, you've got to know about immigration, and you've got to know about what's happening at Ellis Island or wherever. And you've got to know about what was going on with different families, or what religions were affecting, or why choices to give up a baby would have made sense or not made sense. So I think that's really interesting that so much of it is data. You're looking at data, but you're also weaving and sort of like digging through
papers,
human nature, right?
What was happening in 1938 in Poland that would make someone, just a whole family, migrate.
Right.
Researching that,
Mm-hmm.
Finding out what was going on, history, not necessarily related to the family, but what was going on in that area.
Right. I can guess pretty quickly what was going on in 1938 in Poland, but
Yeah.
I can see others. I can see other times being a harder or would take more research. That's really interesting to me, is sort of digging through what was going on for the human condition at that time. We change from family to family or region to region.
And you learn so much, even outside of the, genealogy aspect of things. I think we've learned so much culturally and historically, about different things, just, depending on the time era and things that you're focusing on.
Yeah. Yeah, that's so cool. So tell me about this other case.
Oh my goodness. It's a maze. It's a big,
That was incredible.
big spider web. But it's been one of the most rewarding.
Mhm.
So Val, jump in, because she did take the lead on this and we all helped along the way, but she was the mastermind to come up with.
That was focused on this.
No,
Incredible.
we'll call the person that we were helping, we'll call her Gigi, right? Let's just stick with that. So Gigi her mom had died when she was a teenager, and her mom was kind of a wanderer, right? Like, so she just kind of bounced around from place to place. Her mom's family was part of the Mormon church. Her third great grandfather was one of the founding members of it. He had 9 wives and he had 59 children. So huge family on the mom's side. Dad's family was enormous as well. And her top 4 matches on the paternal side were either adopted or NPEs. So we had to solve all of those just to figure out who Dad was.
And why was Gigi Why did she reach out? What was she interested in?
Well, she never knew who her father was. She knew like the person that was on the birth certificate was not her dad. And like, she always kind of knew that. And her mom, because she had died when Gigi was about 13, she never could really ask her any questions. And because she was kind of estranged from the family, nobody really knew. I mean, lots of secrets. Oh my goodness. I could write a book on this. So yeah, Gigi's top matches were all NPEs or adopted. And it was a lot to untangle because there's so many that were related on both sides, that were related to mom's family, but like to a lower match on her family. And I'm like, this is going to take forever to solve. And it took probably like 6 months or so to solve it.
And are you using, are you only on the computer, or like note cards and Post-its going up on a wall?
Everything.
Everything. Yeah. Like I couldn't do it without, I think.
I have a big whiteboard back here.
Oh, a big whiteboard, of course.
That's
okay.
for me.
Yeah.
I have to draw it. I'm a picture learner.
Yeah.
Right. That's how I am too. So I was just like only being able to.
So I definitely draw stuff out. I'm on the computer, like anything I can to basically visualize what's going on. And so basically her entire family. So we know that it's funny because in this scenario, we actually found out who her birth father was before granddad. Because her birth father is an MP, of course, because everybody is an MP, it seems. So we had found a half sister for her, and that's how we confirmed who her bio dad is. And so she's met her half sister, and like I have been like ugly crying every time I get an update because I'm just so excited for her because she always wanted a sister, and she finally has that. And it just keeps getting wilder and wilder the more layers I uncover, because on the dad's side, they came over from Scotland. So he was, granddad was first generation, but over in Scotland, they had a different name. So they changed their name when they came to the States. So it was like all of the Scottish family only had this family up until a certain point, and then it was like they dropped off the face of the earth. And so then I found them in the States, and it's so many layers, and everyone had so many kids. It's like, and then once one wife died, they just remarried, and then they had more kids, and
backup wives. I mean, that's
right. Yeah. And grandma was also first generation, but her family came over from Italy. And her family was kind of unique in the sense that they all came over at the same time, but they didn't end up in the same area. So one of them, one branch ended up in Ellis Island, and then the other branch came up through New Orleans and then through Arkansas. And then they didn't reunite until later. And then, so I'm trying to figure out like there's like 14 kids, and then all of them had like 9 and 10 kids and married multiple times. And it was just like,
that's like entire villages of people.
Yes. Do
you also have big maps up? Do you also like, do you have to have, I just now talking about, I don't know, I feel like there also would be like a lot of geography pins getting bumped around to try and piece it together.
You know, this story was so awesome though, because these sisters have actually met. We were able to connect them, and the sister that we found traveled across country, and they have got to spend time and vacation together, and they've made a wonderful connection. So
how old are they?
Larissa, I'll let you answer that one. I don't. Larissa's good at remembering that.
I want to say Gigi is 65, and I'm not sure how old half sister is. I want to say 73, 4-ish, maybe.
So not, not astoundingly elderly.
Oh,
But no,
And,
okay.
and the cool thing about finding the half sister for Gigi is before half sister's results were even back, she had booked a plane ticket to fly across country to meet Gigi before the results were even in to confirm that she was a half sister.
Because
she knew they were related. Yeah.
Right.
I mean,
okay. So she already
she
knew there was a relation and thought that, and that
there
was enough
was a
for her.
relation there. Yep, that was enough for her. She knew that in some way, they were related. Obviously, we want to solidify things, and we always want people to take that test so that we can solidify and confirm it. But half sister knew that in some way she was related, and she was going to meet her either way. And then in the meantime, results came back, and we found out that they were half sister. So it was
wow,
it was
that's really sweet.
Yeah, it was awesome.
Really sweet. What is the hardest part about being a search angel, do you think?
So the hardest part for me and I experienced it in Gigi's case, one of the people that I helped along the way who was adopted, I basically had to solve theirs in order to get closer to, Gigi's answers. And I was so excited that they wanted my help with this and that we were going to collaborate and share info that I didn't do the due diligence in preparing them for what if the results are not pleasant. And so it turned out that this person was the product of incest. And it still really gets me to this day because I just felt like I should have prepared. I was so excited. I was so excited to talk to this person. They were so anxious to get some answers. And we clicked and they were so nice and so helpful. And I just didn't stop to think, wait a second, this could go badly. So delivering that news to the person was the hardest thing that I've had to do. I was just so beside myself because I just felt I let them down by not doing the due diligence in preparing them for a potentially bad outcome or an unpleasant outcome. So that was the hardest part. Because when you see something like that, your heart breaks a little bit, because it's what did that parent endure? What, the things that they went through just to get to that point. And then, we have so much empathy for the people. We get so involved with the people that we are looking into and with the families that we're researching. It's that's still a void in my heart. I feel so much for that. I have so much empathy for them. And I just want to give them a hug and be I'm sorry I didn't do that, So, and that's something that actually we're going forward. We're really making a point to let people know in advance, this could be answer. So if this is something that we find, do you still want to know, or do you want us just to leave everything alone? And we're giving people that sort of option ahead of time. So
lessons learned.
Yeah. So that was definitely the hardest thing that I've had to experience.
Right.
I think for me, the hard part is, and I think because I've lived it, I've walked in many of the people that we work with. I've walked in their shoes, and I've had the opportunity to walk alongside of several people that, how do you explain to somebody how to grieve something that they never knew or that they never had? And obviously I don't have that kind of degree or, background. I just try and share, what my experience has been and how I try and get through it. And, the girls will tell you some days are better than others. I mean, some days I still have really bad days. I mean, I'm 10 months into this process and I'm still trying to figure it out and understand how to process it and deal with it. So for me, that's been the hardest part, is handling all of my emotions and everything I've had to deal with. But at the same time, trying to help the people that we're working with. So that's been my biggest challenge.
Yeah, I imagine that depending on what kind of variables each person comes across, it would be triggering in different ways for different people.
Yeah.
So it sounds like the emotional connection is what's harder than piecing together sentiment.
Oh, I would definitely say that. I mean, I think it's harder than the hours that we put in, or, the time that we pull away from our families or anything. I mean, we all get really emotionally involved and invested in these things. I mean, otherwise, why would we do it for fun? But it does it. And we've all dealt with it. We've all dealt with different, people that we worked with that, some of them pull on some of our heartstrings a little more than others. But that's definitely the toughest part.
Wow. That's so interesting. Is there anything else you want me to know, or you wish I had asked about your life as Search Angels, as your friendship, as your group, for people that want to reach out to you?
I think it's just important to kind of know that, like, we do bounce ideas off of each other a lot. But sometimes, like, we will kind of take smaller cases, and that doesn't mean that, like, we don't still, like, kind of bounce off ideas and get a second set of eyes on it. But we really like, at least I know I personally really like the more difficult, like the challenging stuff. If people have told you in the past, I'm sorry, I can't help you because of endogamy or because of whatever, like, those are the type of things that really we thrive off of. And I think because there's so many different eyes looking at it, and we're able just to kind of see different things from a different point of view, it really helps us break through some of those brick walls where other people, if it's just one person looking at things, it would be overwhelming.
Right. So even if other Search Angels or people helping have felt discouraged or given you discouraging news in the past, it doesn't hurt to go ahead and touch base with you, because you guys might bring a whole new a new research skill set to the
Yeah, that's absolutely true. I mean, the case that we solved of the 80-year-old woman, she had worked with someone else that, for whatever reasons, unfortunately, wasn't able to help her solve her case. And like I said, I think there were various things involved in why that happened. I think with four of us, it kind of, there's four people, coming up with different ideas and working on things. I think one of the most important things that we all feel is everyone deserves to know their truth.
Agreed. Yes.
I mean, we all agree with that no matter what, everyone deserves to know their truth, and how they write their story and what they decide to do with it is completely up to them.
Yeah.
Yes, completely agree. I think another thing for NPEs or adoptees or whomever is to go into this with an open mind, have no expectations, and understand that you are not a secret. People are not secrets, and so you shouldn't be kept that way. And that's how we kind of operate, is we're looking for the truth, and and we pick up lessons along the way. With each case, there is a new lesson that we get, and we kind of incorporate that to set expectations for helping others, but also that we're looking for the truth, and that's essentially what we're going to get to the end. Until the end, we'll keep searching. We like the harder cases. That's what we like to do. They take a little bit more time, but we also make bonds along the way. We've collected so much family that isn't biologically family, but they are family.
That's just wonderful. That is wonderful. All right. Well, gosh, ladies, thank you so much for spending some time with me this morning. This was really fun. I think you guys are, I don't know, you're a fun group, and you all have your heart in the right place, and you're working together. It's really lovely. See, weren't those ladies a fantastic way to start off the new season? A huge thank you to the Fab Four for spending some time with me, sharing stories and helping me understand their lives as search angels. And more importantly than all of that, of course, is thank you for all of the hours you put into helping people find their truths. It is so awesome that you are so generous with your time because you think something is interesting and fun, because it brings life-changing truth, fulfillment, closure, and answers to people. So hey, it's just you and me again. I hope you enjoyed your time with Everything's Relative. I try to make sure there's a new episode coming out every Friday. If you have a story you want to share on my podcast or with me in an email, please contact me ASAP, eve@everythingsrelativepodcast.com. You can find me on Instagram @everythingsrelativepodcast. You can find me on Facebook, Everything's Relative Podcast. This is a listener-supported podcast, which means I need you to help me keep this project alive. I'm sorry to sound like your local NPR station, but that's where we're at, people. If you are feeling generous, please go to my Patreon account and think about pledging a little bit of money each month, as little as $1. Less than $1, if the website will let you. I think it will. I'll send you goodies. I'll invite you to special events and just be grateful to you from the bottom of my heart for the rest of my life. If you're feeling creative, go review the podcast on whatever streaming platform you're using, whether it's Apple Podcasts or something like Google Play. Leave a note about what you heard. Give me a star rating. And hey, it doesn't have to be nice. We really do want to know what you think, so you can give me your honest opinion. I can take it. I can take a low star rating. For me, honestly, making this podcast is not a low star experience. See how I did that? I give being the host of this podcast a 5 out of 5 star score. I love doing this. I love being here. I love meeting people, love listening, and I love knowing I'm not alone with my DNA discovery, just like you are also not alone. I'm Eve Sturgis. This is Everything's Relative, and I hope you come back next week. Thank you for listening. Don't forget to turn the lights off when you leave the room. Bye-bye.
Everything's Relative with Eve Sturgis is produced by Eve Sturgis and Kaylin Egan and edited by Joy Rumel. Logo designed by Ivy McNally, and music is used with permission from Goodbye the Band. Eve is a licensed psychotherapist, but her podcast episodes are not therapy sessions.
I'm Brian Husky. I'm bald.
And I'm Charlie Sanders, and I'm also bald. And we host Bald Talk on the Campfire Media Network.
Bald Talk is the podcast where two bald comedians talk to anyone bald about being bald.
But this show isn't just for baldies, Brian. Heroes will love it too.
Bald Talk gets into vulnerability, vanity, insecurity, and self-acceptance, reminding us that we all have our respective bald spots. Not that bald spots are a bad thing.
No way. I mean, my entire head is one big bald spot.
It is one huge, beautiful bald spot, Charlie.
Get Bald Talk on Apple Podcasts or wherever you get your podcasts.
I mean, I have like a little bit of hair, but not like you. Like, you're really bald.
I'm truly bald.
Great. I mean, it's
I'm
great.
balder than you.
You are balder than me.
Only on Bald Talk. Campfire.